So this is our new project. It is, as you probably know by the video title, it's going to be a little different. I can't find anyone on the internet that's done it before, maybe for good reason.
We'll find out.
But we will find out. So this is it. It's got the 301 on it. We got two 212s we're going to put on it, brand new. We're going to try and get it going with the 301 on it first, just to see how it does. And for those of you that wear shirts, we now have shirts.
I am 120 pounds.
The frame's a little cut in a couple places, so we're gonna have to do some welding on it.
Splitter too. That thing is pretty, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's just kind of dangerous.
It might kill someone.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to cut that off right there, and other than that, I mean, I think it should be pretty simple.
We're in the process of getting it going, and we've noticed whoever put this front monstrosity on here, that the pedal bottoms out on this little triangle looking thing that they put on there. So we're gonna go ahead and chop it off.
Okay, on this side, we're missing the recoil, the brake fluid reservoir is cut off, but the brakes actually still work. But when you look over at this mess on the caliper here, this bracket is, it's something. So we're gonna have to redo that, along with this bracket over here for the tensioner, because it's not movable, and the engine mount's cracked and loose. A lot of good stuff going on back here.
And look at the tires, dude. There's tears.
Not why is it crying?
She is starting to look like a go-kart again. All we got left right now is Dave's finishing up the brakes. And we gotta throw a tire back on,
Do the tensioner too.
put a pedal, and the tensioner.
We got a cut right here, and then bend it up, because there's too much slack in it. So after that, then we should be able to see if it starts and runs and drives.
Alright, so we're thinking we're probably gonna need a new belt, and our chain isn't very tight.
Probably a tire.
But today's goal was to get it running. That's what we're about to do.
Guess not. So after yesterday's first test drive, this thing did a lot better than we thought. Spun the tires pretty good, and we did a little more research, and we discovered that we were actually running some motorcycle brakes. They're 4-piston. Other than that, we blew a belt off of the torque converter. So that makes it a perfect time for us to start the actual reason why we bought the kart and get the two engines on there.
All right, now we're gonna take the engine off, see what's actually going on underneath this frame. It's pretty crappy. we're gonna get some motor mounts made and then put the 212s on. We got two engines right here, so we're going to put them side by side, and we're going to have different gearing.
This is the basic idea here. The two engines lined up. Of course, we're going to have to shift them around a bit. We're going to have to cut those previous motor mounts out because they're not even straight. Take the tensioner out, and maybe have to reroute a brake line. But it's going to be tight because this go-kart does not have a very long axle. So we're going to see what we can do. We went ahead and got those motor mount support bars cleaned up. They are ready for the plate. We're going to do a full plate across there so that we can slide the motors any way we want. And then if we ever decide to put the 301 back on, we can do that, just so that we have multiple options. While we're waiting to get metal, I'm going to go ahead and swap the brake setup over to the other side so that you can pull the e-brake handle with your left hand instead of your right. I have this old scooter handle, and we're going to try to make something out of it. So this is what we're working with here now. It's just a bent it to a 90, attached it to my handle I already had made. And that's gonna sit right on that blue line right there to push that lever back and control the brakes. It should be close to a zero tolerance setup because of the bolt. Moving along with the brakes here, I got this piece just made. It's gonna be a little like select-a-size type thing so that when this lever gets pulled back, it'll be varying levels of movement or travel on the e-brake handle. And that'll determine how far you will have to pull back to reach full lock on the brake system. We'll go ahead and get this welded up and then get the connecting piece between this bracket and our tie rod end on the brakes. All we have to do is relocate the rear caliper bracket. This one's kind of just on there. We're gonna actually try to do it right over here. So we'll probably have to take the axle off, flip the disc, and throw it over there. Originally we were working on the brakes. We kind of hit a snag there. We were going to put the brake disc right here, but that is not possible with our engine setup, which we were test fitting here. So what we're gonna do is temporarily put the disc in the center-ish and put a couple support bars out to it just to support the caliper temporarily.
All right, now that we got the brake line and everything in, now we're gonna start working on our mount, which is just gonna be a solid bar right there. And then we're gonna take this caliper, then we're gonna get some mounting points from these 2 points right there. We got a cardboard cutout. Then we're gonna run a bar from here to the caliper, so right there, and that's how it's gonna look. So we now have our ghetto brake system for the 2-engine go-kart. We welded some bolts and then a plate to this. We also got our bar in for the support for this one. So obviously you can see that it wiggles a little bit. That's with the other bolt. We're gonna have a bolt here, so it doesn't wiggle. And next we gotta weld our plate.
Now that our motor mount is in its final resting spot, we can work on the other side of the caliper and then move on to drilling the holes for the engines.
Tack weld here.
With our brakes finally being hooked up, we can go ahead and get the holes drilled for the engines and mount them. So I finished up getting the holes drilled for the engine and went ahead and hooked up the chain and bolted down both of the engines. I got the chain tightness decent. I guess we'll have to see when we run it, but it looks half decent as it sits right now. Next, I'm going to work on getting the double throttle pedal hooked up. We're going to do two. So left one's going to be the left engine, right one's going to be the right engine, and then we have our e-brake here, so we don't need the brake pedal up there, so we're going to repurpose that. What you're looking at here is hopefully the finished 2-speed project. Everything should be set up. We just gotta wait for the roads to be dry because they're all snow covered right now, and this thing will not go anywhere on the slicks. And if I haven't explained it already, the general idea behind it is 2 different gearings, 2 different motors, and 2 different throttle pedals. So we got the tall gearing for about 1 to 25-ish, and then this shorter gearing is for probably 25 to 60-ish is what we're hoping to get out of it. And then we're hoping to get ideal low speed and high speed, and that this should hopefully achieve what we're looking for. The only hiccup might be the clutches engaging at different times when they trade off, but I guess we'll find out when we try it out on some dry roads.
Gary's gonna start the engines. We're gonna see if it works. Number 1, now number 2. Currently only using one of the engines because the chain fell off, so that's what we got going right now. Roll back on the Duramax, oh my gosh!
It is day 2 of testing now. Yesterday, we figured out that our engine wasn't mounted quite straight, so we straightened that, so hopefully our chain doesn't fall off. And we also figured out that we need to allow for the slower engine on the right. We gotta allow for the clutch to disengage before we engage the other motor on the left here, so that it doesn't over rev the engine and that we don't damage anything. Here's the first engine. There's the second. If you couldn't tell, the two 6.5 horses still don't really compete with the 13. But we weren't really going for that. Kind of got what we wanted. We could still drift, and then we could still do roughly about 50 miles an hour. But it's basically a 6.5 horse versus a 13 at a time. It's got pretty good takeoff and decent top speed. It's just kind of a proof of concept that it works. and that we were able to get 2 different gearings on the same go-kart. The whole reason behind doing this is because I haven't seen anyone else do it on the internet, and I had a question that needed to be answered, and now it is answered. If you're thinking about doing it, don't. Just buy one single big engine, because it's just better and less work. But this just, it has the coolness factor going for it because it looks sweet.
Thanks for watching. And today on my custom go-kart.
What?
What? Backwards, isn't it?